Hello and welcome to Get Into Games on Air, a podcast about board games and the people who play them. My name's Craig, aka Get Into Games, and joining me, as always, is Becky, aka Mrs. Get Into Games.
Hi.
Hello. It's a very exciting episode today, our third episode of the podcast, and we will be discussing all things legacy games, ones we've played, maybe ones we want to try, and we'll have a small chat about what campaign and legacy games are and what the differences are between the two. Right?
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Excellent.
Do I get to spoiler?
You can get to spoiler. Just to let everyone know, there will be some minor spoilers, but we will let everybody know when the spoilers are coming. And hopefully in the description of the podcast, we will have timestamps when said spoilers occur. So just to give you a rundown of what to expect in today's episode is, first of all, we're going to talk about what's hit our table this week, some of the games we've played and loved, disliked, or maybe somewhere in between. We're going to talk about what legacy and what campaign games are and the differences between the two. We're going to talk about our favourite campaign games and our favourite legacy games with a little bit of extra talk about Ticket to Ride Legacy, the latest legacy game that we've played and both did certainly enjoy. After that, we will go into some legacy spoilers. Then we'll be talking about your board game menus that you kindly sent us through on Instagram. Using the template that is available in my feed. Absolutely. So that's what we're going. So we may as well, kick it off with what did we play at our table this week?
We haven't really played much this week. It's been a busy week.
Yes.
But we did manage to squeeze in a game of Blood on the Clock Tower quickly on Tuesday.
Yep, that was a good little game.
And then we've played lots of online games with Brad and Susie and PJ and Katie.
Yes.
So that was quite nice. And then we've tried a new game to us, which is Three Ring Circus, which we have played twice now. And I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So PJ, Three Ring Circus from De Vere Games or Cosmos UK is a game where you are a traveling circus going around America, putting on shows, getting a new troupe of circus performers and circus acts, and scoring points based on where they are positioned in your tableau. So there's area control, there's tableau building. It's very interesting. I don't know if I've got it all yet after two plays. I think the second play was definitely, I understood it more.
Well, the second play was closer in score because the first play, one person ran away with it.
Yeah.
I think that it reminds me a little bit of when I first started playing Viticulture.
Okay.
And I didn't quite understand the mechanics of how to do things at the right time to get the best benefit. And I feel like I'm at the moment in frustrated mode because I can see what I'm supposed to do, but I can never activate it accurately enough.
Yeah, there's definitely a timing element to the game. There's building your troupe is really important to start, but you can't build your troupe without performing in medium-sized cities easily. So you're kind of balancing that and you're waiting for those big cities to come before you go to the big cities to do a big show to get the most victory points. But it's quite quick when you start building up the landscape. There's a really interesting timer, basically. There's a timer that is P.T. Barnum's traveling circus goes around the board. When that does a full lap of the board, the game is over. So it's a really interesting time element to it that you kind of rush around at the last minute. There are some kind of iffy areas in the rule book. I think it doesn't explain necessarily well what you can do and how many caravans you can have on a certain space. But
it does tell you, but there's lots of little rules, and so we've had to go back through to make sure that we've got it right.
It's pretty simple, straightforward game that's got a rule book that has got a lot more pages. It could do with a quick reference guide and a rule book.
It does have a quick reference guide at the back, but it doesn't. The quick reference guide almost doesn't tell you enough.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I'm not sure, because if you go to the medium cities early on and you can only place one of your circus, what would you call it?
Caravans.
Is it caravan?
You put a big top on there.
The big top, yeah. You can only put one of your big tops on each medium town. So it feels like if you do that early on, you don't get the best benefit from doing it.
No.
Yeah,
it's a clever balance, and I think that maybe that works better when you start getting more players and you're using, because there's a really cool modular system to the board that you can block off certain towns depending on your player count, which is pretty cool. I quite like that idea. And you can modulate, so you can use 3 different areas. So when you're playing with 2 players, you use 3 areas of America, but you can choose essentially the 3 areas that you use, which is quite cool. And it does look, component wise and everything, it's very, very nice.
I think once you've played it a few times, I think it will become. I think we'll play it more because we understand how to play it. I think at the minute I'm just frustrated. Like, I wanted to do this, but I can't.
I think it might be one of those ones that we get out when we have people over. Yeah. It's not too difficult, like someone like your sister we play it with, because it's not too taxing to kind of understand new rules and stuff like that. It was good. It was good to get it to the table. Yes. And I look forward to some more plays of it. Yeah. We played a game of Lost Ruins of Arnak, which is good because this is like the first time we've played back-to-back games of Lost Ruins of Arnak now, like 2 games in 2 weeks. That's exciting. Can we keep it up for a third week? You'll have to tune in next week to find out that we probably have not done that. No. But yeah, so that was what hit our table, really. Lost Ruins of Arnak, number 9, Rolling Realms. Yeah. It was a pretty quiet week for games, but it's been a busier week, and it doesn't get any quieter in the coming weeks and months. But coming up, we've got loads of different events and things in our calendar for board games and meetups and stuff like that. So hopefully there'll be lots of exciting content to talk about on this here very Podocast that you're listening to. Thanks for listening, everyone. And also thanks for listening to the last 2 episodes. And if you haven't listened to the last 2 episodes, what are you doing? Go give them a listen as well. Okay. So today's episode is all about legacy and campaign games. We've played quite a few recently over time. But first of all, what is a legacy game and what is a campaign game, and why are they different?
So I didn't know this.
Okay.
So I had to look it up.
Excellent.
Because I wasn't sure the difference. But apparently, a legacy game is a permanent change over a series of sessions. So like where you change the board,
stickers,
or you cut up cards, those kind of things, make it a legacy game. A campaign game is a series of scenarios where decisions are likely to influence how the game plays out. So the game essentially stays the same, but you're making choices which then change what happens to the story over time.
Yes. Very nice. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So I've got some quick fire questions for you.
Uh-oh. Now I'm in the hot seat. Dum da 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 da. That is.
Are you ready?
No. Magnuson.
I sounded like the gladiators then. Gladiator. Oh, yeah. Are you ready?
That was very, very accurate. You sounded just like John Hammond, or whatever his name was.
That's John Hammond. Isn't like Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park. You sounded like the guy. Later. You sounded like the guy for Jurassic Park.
No.
How do you know when he does?
No, I mean we'll be talking about Isla Nublar later.
Oh yeah, we'll be.
Anyway, back to the quick fire questions.
Oh, here we go. Quick fire and questions.
Which do you prefer, legacy or campaign?
Oh, that's a question.
Yes.
Oh God, I got to be quicker than John. I think I prefer campaigns with boxes, and I can
cheating.
I can get into that later as well. But I like the story. Campaign stories feel good, but there's nothing quite as thrilling as opening a new box or changing the landscape that a legacy gives you. So I'm going to give the edge to legacy.
Okay, so we have a little problem in our house with campaign games, mostly.
Yeah.
What stops these type of games getting to the table more often?
They have to just stay out for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we forget the rules, and then have to read the rules again, and then we forget where we are in the story, because there's just too many board games.
Okay. How do you consume your legacy games?
I like to put.
Slow and steady.
I like to fry
over
them.
time.
Fry them with a little bit of garlic, sliced onions.
I don't mean actually eat them. I mean, like, do you take your time with them, or do you rush to find out the ending straight away?
So, I think with legacy games, the legacy games that we've done, we've just gone through them. I think the longest legacy game that we played, well, other pandemic, was probably Ticket to Ride, that we made ourselves take a month to play it.
Yeah, we still played it.
We still played it in a month, if that. But yeah, it pretty much legacy games just go really quickly. Campaign games I stop and then never come back to.
Not good. What do you think is the optimal player count for a legacy / campaign game?
That depends on the game.
Okay.
If it's Pandemic, Pandemic plays best at 2.
Mm-hmm.
I won't hear anything more on that because I will alpha game your opinion because that's what the problem is with Pandemic at more than 2. I know Pandemic probably works out well at 4, I guess, but I really like it at 2. I think Ticket to Ride might have been more exciting at higher play count, but that's again something for later. 3 players is an optimum player count, but it's hard to get a group of players together to come for games night, let alone come to a games night. We are going to play the same game 12 times every time you come over.
Yeah, that's true. What is a turn-off in a legacy game?
A Jurassic Park, the Legacy of Isla Nebula. No,
specifics, not one game.
A turn-off on a legacy game. A lot of people don't like destroying components. I think that's quite fun. Turn-off is, this might come up a bit later as well, is not being able to experience the entire game.
See, for me, it's repetition in the story.
Oh, yeah, that'll come up
so
later.
If you get several envelopes where something is more or less the same,
yeah. If you have to play 3 games that are identical in the end of a legacy, hint. Or if you have to just put a sticker over something, you've changed the layout of your board, and then they go, just put a sticker over it and reset your board several times through a legacy campaign. That's quite
I also think sometimes not
frustrating.
knowing what the end goal is quite tricky in a legacy game, because although you might know it's the most money, but you won't know how to go about doing that.
That's true. Knowing what
strategy.
the win condition is before going into it is kind of difficult.
So what is a turn on in a legacy game? Like, what would grab you and make you want that legacy game?
The story. I really want the story and the theme to come through. I really want exciting changes and a real story to come through to really bring you into the theme. And then some great ones don't have that for me, but some definitely have it in a lot. I think I would definitely like theme to come through on a legacy game, because I am playing a story, and essentially I'm playing an expensive story that's going to go in the skip.
Yeah, I think that definitely what other people say about legacy games tend to hook me in. So if people are excited about it, then I'll be excited about it. Might turn out to be wrong in the end, but I do get excited by other people's excitement around legacy games. Do you mostly complete them all the way through, or will you stop halfway?
Depends if it's Jurassic Park. No, I will always try and finish it. I always want to finish a legacy game, because you've got to get to the end of the story. Why would you stop? I feel that you can't review something based on not completing an entire campaign, and especially if your job is as a reviewer. I don't think you should stop and then just decide that that's it.
Although you might feel like you've wasted.
But sometimes you do feel like you want to stop, and that's fine. But really, you need to see it through to the end. I think is the definite thing that you have to do. I'd never stop. Well, other than one.
Okay, that was my quick fire question.
That was very good.
Hope you enjoyed that.
That was very good. I hope you all enjoyed it too.
I don't think you were that quick though.
I was very fast. I am the Usain Bolt of the podcast world.
I'm waiting to get someone on the show who like literally just.
I think that will happen. That could be anyone.
With no thinking.
One day, I'm sure that will
Fair
happen. Okay, so let's talk about which one do we talk about first? Legacy games or campaign games, or just all of them in general?
Well, I haven't played that many campaign games, really.
That's true.
So I can mention a few by name, but
Just mention the campaign games
okay.
because we haven't really. Yeah, campaign games are a bit more in like. There's not as much to talk about, whereas Legacy, we've definitely completed a lot of Legacy games.
So I suppose one of the first campaign games, certainly I was exposed to, was Sleeping Gods.
Yeah.
I am drawn to a book, and a big, thick, chunky book at that.
Yep.
And I love the fact that you could read through the story. And this is one that we haven't completed. We did play a lot of it, and then we had to put it away because we had no space for it to be out. And then it's difficult to get to the table because you just know you need 20 hours solid to play it.
It comes with the this is the game saving mechanism, so you can put it back in the box. Nope. There's no, you just leave it out and you play it and then you put it away.
It's great though, and I loved exploring the islands and then reading the book and finding out what happened and get going and reading the little postcard thing. Like, it's cool, but I just need more time.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one that's going to be set up at some point, and it's going to be one that we really focus on at some point soon.
We always say in the summer holidays.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And the summer holidays come round, no.
So do all the other board games.
But one that I'm really excited about is the new Scythe campaign that we've got.
Yes, Scythe. So Scythe, The Rise of Fenris, we've just had delivered, which is wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Jamie, for sending that across to us. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Is a campaign with boxes.
Yes.
Which is the campaign with boxes that I was talking about. Yeah, I'm really excited to see. I haven't looked at what's inside them. I've opened the box. I've gone, ooh, boxes, and I've left it. So
you're not allowed to look inside.
No, I know. Well, you are when you play the game.
Yeah,
but no, you're not allowed to look first. But yeah, I'm really excited to get that. So it's an 8-game campaign that is completely resettable and replayable. Or the modules that you unlock during the campaign, you can just add them to a regular game of Scythe. So if you want to play with a specific module, you can just go, here's a game of Scythe, we're playing with these modules. Which to me sounds awesome because I love Scythe. It is one of my top. It's definitely in my top 10. I don't know where it is. I need to do another pub meeple ranking soon. Maybe that'd be another episode that we can do.
I think Scythe is great, but it definitely doesn't get to the table as much as it should. And now we've played a couple of games with a bigger player count. Like, I'm eager to play it at larger player counts. So I'm hoping that the campaign gets us more into it so that it just becomes one of those games that we get out and want to.
Yeah, definitely.
We also have another campaign game with a book, which is the Robin Hood
Adventures of Robin Hood. That's brilliant. That is so good.
It's a hardback book, which I love.
Yep.
And it's got a little story. And then the board is the most amazing board because it has like lift the flaps.
Yeah.
Which you then turn over and reveal guards, etc., and people who come and go. It's really well thought out.
It's just like, yeah, it's great. It's like Robin Hood, the Jolly Postman. You put it together, you get a fantastic campaign game. Not sure Jolly Postman is the best.
Jolly Postman.
Spot the dog. Where's Spot hiding? Oh, he's under a guard. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's another one that you play. It's quite resettable. It's quite easy to put away and then bring back out. Problem is, I think we've had a bit of a break now from playing it, so we might just dive back in and know exactly where we are in the story. Or we might go, where was that ladder again?
Well, we're currently playing a legacy game with Alana, which we've kind of stopped. So I wonder maybe if we switch it out and play the Adventures of Robin Hood with her, because I think she'd really like it.
Yeah, definitely.
And actually, I think it'd be quite good with the other characters because different characters do different things.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the movement, the wooden meeples, and the length, the way they work out movement and the hiding in the shadows. Oh, it's just brilliant. It's so good. If you haven't played Adventures of Robin Hood, highly recommend that one. It's so good. And I think children 8, 10 years old, they don't need to do the big reading, but they can do the playing and the making the moves and the sneaking around. It's co-op campaign. Love a co-op campaign, which leads me into another thing. It's like, do legacy games and campaign games work better co-op than they do competitively? Might be the other things really about that. Most campaign games are cooperative, I guess. I know Scythe isn't, but yeah, who knows? But yeah, that's it pretty much for campaign for us. We have got stuffed fables as well to play, and Oath from Later Games. Oath is just, it's a big boy, and it's a lot, and you really need the same group of people to play a big game multiple times, and it's asymmetrical, so all the factions play slightly differently, so it's a big learning curve. It's a little bit scary. It's a big old board. It's beautiful, stunning game. Just like Root, anything from Later Games is amazing, but it's one of those ones that really needs time and
people to
a regular group of people to invest in it. I think once you've played it once as well, you probably will be like, okay, I've done Oath now. Thanks very much. I can go to sleep. But that's it really for a campaign. But legacy games.
So we have played well, when I came to do the list, I was like, oh, we have played quite a few legacy games.
Yes.
So I don't know if there's a particular order. I mean, the first legacy game we ever played was Pandemic Legacy.
Yes.
Because Pandemic is like the first, what I deem proper board game that wasn't Monopoly and Cluedo and all of that.
Yeah, I think there was Pandemic was the first our gateway game, the first big modern board game, like it was for so many others. And the legacy version always looked great, and we always used to have different things we did as I think we bought it with the idea as we were doing different things for New Year's because the children wouldn't let us spend any time playing games anymore because they were small and baby shaped. So we bought a legacy game to be able to play it all together. Just us over like New Year's, over the whole night till the bells. That never really came about. We didn't really play it. I think we played it once or twice, and then we were knackered.
Well, it's played over a year, so it's 12 months. But you get 2 chances to complete each month. So if you fail, you get like a little help for the next time round.
Special help box. Yeah.
So essentially, excuse me. Essentially, you can play it 24 times, but you might only play it 18 times because you win a few of them. I loved it, and I think it was the first legacy game where there were boxes to open, and it had that like dossier file where you peeled the cards off, and it was so exciting. The only thing I would say was when we left a gap between playing, the rules were not that easy to come back and remember.
So the base rules of Pandemic is quite straightforward, but when you start adding little wrinkles and little changes into those basic rules, they become a bit more.
It was like challenging. Add something to a town, and we would miss out little things, and then go, oh, we were supposed to be doing that.
Different coloured, like minor spoilers here. Just different coloured like huts, like so you normally have the white. What are they called? Research stations. And then you had like orange research stations and green ones, and then you had the different sort of things that were happening. It was cool, and your character got changes like PTSD and stuff like that. And I honestly felt it's probably the best story of a legacy game I've played. I think from an actual thematic point of view, my character felt like it was going through this story. There's the change in the landscape on the earth. Everything felt like it was really happening. I was there, and I was immersed in it. I felt really immersed in the story first, then the game. I was.
But do you think that's because it was the first of its type that we played? Like we'd never had something that changed. That the game changed during the time we were.
No,
playing.
I guess so. We haven't really ever have any.
It was exciting.
Anything like it, but yeah, it was good. I think because the only other game I think was out before it was Risk Legacy. It was the first one, and then this one. But it really gave them the more.
But I think I have like nostalgia around it because it was the first. Now, even like Ticket to Ride, I'm like, oh, there's boxes. Okay, there's going to be something in it. But before, when we played Pandemic, I wasn't. Well, what are the boxes? What changes can you make to the game that I know and love that are going to make me still be able to play?
Yeah.
So I think we never had any like pre-thoughts about like preconceptions about what it might be like. So it's definitely high, and I think that's one that everyone should try. I want to try the other ones.
I do too. Yeah, season 2 and season 0 are meant to be. I've heard very good things about, so I'm excited to give them a go.
So then I think maybe we should talk about My City is probably the next one that we played.
Yeah, My City was definitely you brought My City to the radar really, because you were the one who said you saw it and really watched some videos on it or something.
I think it was at the board game shop when there was a board game shop in Rugby.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, the old tile placement, the polyautominal. Yeah, that's the new name for them. That's what the cool
sounds
kids.
Like a Tumblr-boo.
Yeah, the polyautominoboos. That's the new In the Night Garden legacy game that's coming out. The polyautominoboos.
I like tile puzzly fit together type games, and this one was right up my alley, and I think we consumed it straight away. Like
we
just keep going.
It's so easy to play through as well, though. It's just you just go. It was very good. The story was there, but it was more you were playing games that were ever changing the landscape of your city, which was fine. I enjoyed the gold rush. I enjoyed the train, all the different things.
Spoiler.
I think everyone's played City.
Or if they haven't, too late.
They're going to now. Go on BGA. It's on there.
You can play it at the end. There's the reverse.
You flip
of
the board, and it's like episode 3 or envelope 3, I think it is. It starts there, and it's a forever board, and it's playable. It's a pretty good game, but there are.
I also think that for the money, it's really reasonable. So it's not one of those like really expensive ones, and there are 24 episodes in it.
Yeah.
So like for getting your money's worth, it definitely felt like, oh yeah, I have got my money's worth.
Because we got it when it was new, and it was I remember it being quite expensive. But now I think you can pick it up for like 30 quid. So that's £30 or whatever it is in other monies. But other people have other money. It's weird. Yeah. It's strange. I didn't understand. I don't know.
I really enjoyed it, and I think the only thing I would say was that was the first game where I thought, I don't know what I'm supposed to do to win at the end. But it didn't really matter because I was so engrossed in playing the game that it was like a puzzle each time. So when we got to the end and added up the scores, I think you probably won because I can't remember, but I think I hadn't really focused on the end goal. I was just like, oh, this is a nice puzzle.
Like you could win the individual games, but if you didn't do the other things to get the extra, like the gold, the dots that you were putting in the top. It's really good. It's one of those ones though. It's like you can play it again. You can flip the board and play it again. And I think we've done it once since completing it, maybe.
But we played the whole campaign again on BGA.
Yeah, because it works as a campaign, but as a standalone game, when you do flip the board, it's like okay, but
I want more.
There are other tile placement games. Yeah. There are better tile placement games. Just pure tile placement games.
I would say
not polyomino games.
I would say it is one of those legacy games that you sort of forget what happened.
Yeah.
So you can play it again. I can't remember, other than there was a gold rush thing. I can't remember the exact rules for it. So when we played it again on BGA, we still did just as rubbish because we had forgotten it. So that's quite nice because often a legacy game, once it's been spoiled, you can't then go back and play.
No, but you could do that's the beauty of My City.
And then it hurt.
What did?
My Island.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was so excited about My Island, and I wanted it to be as good as My City, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, it's solid. The hex tiles are cool. They're good. It's a solid game. It plays well, but
I enjoyed the individual
games.
puzzles. What I didn't like is that here's a spoiler. So
We're not doing very good at this spoilers later thing.
The last 3 chapters, or the last 3 episodes in the last chapter, are essentially all the same.
They're the same game 3 times.
And that to me was like, why didn't you do something better?
Yeah, it loses. There are 2 things. There's that, which is annoying, and the statement of everyone has their own unique island by the end of the game.
Oh yeah, it's on the front of the box. It says create your own unique island. And essentially at the end of each chapter you reset it so it's more or less similar to your partners or whoever you're playing with. It's not entirely your own island.
It's not entirely your own island. There's some little bits that they do that are cool. There are some cool things that they do, and then they go away like really quickly. It's like, no,
don't spoil it.
I want those things to happen for longer. But that is something that is in a lot of legacy games, it seems. Yeah. They come out, they do a thing that's cool, little module, and then they go away.
But then there were also some modules that just I couldn't see the point of.
Yeah.
And it didn't. And the story arc in my city, it made sense to me that the town was developing and changing, and it was making sense. The story of building up your town.
Yeah.
But in my island, it was a bit futuristic. I don't know. It was going off on weird tangents, and
they was going on some Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, Forbidden situations.
But if you like puzzly games, it's still a great puzzle.
It's definitely solid. I think there are just some things that just bugged me about it.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those ones that you can reset and you can flip the board and play and carry on. And it's Rainer Knizia, so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, the puzzle is solid. The puzzle is solid. I just didn't follow.
It just didn't leave. It didn't leave the want.
We also consumed it very, very quickly. I think we did it in like 2 days.
Yeah, we did, and we enjoyed playing it. It got to. There's one module of it which I won't go into, which is a bit annoying. That changes, makes it more than just a tile placement game, like a polyomino game. Adds a bit of area control and stuff, which is it's fine. It's different. It's worth a try if you get a chance to try it.
And then I think we mentioned it earlier, but we were currently playing Miller Zoo with our 9-year-old now. Which is a family cooperative legacy game, and you are a Canadian zoo, and you are taking care of the zoo, and you're welcoming new animals, and you draw resources, and then you have to place out problem tokens, and then try and have to get rid of the problem tokens before there's a crisis in the evening. And it changes. There's like 6 envelopes, I think, so there's different challenges to do, and then within that there's also like side quests you can do, because you have to turn over the board and sticker it, don't you, if you've done certain things. And she really enjoys it.
It's really
and it was
good.
Something that we could play all together, and it's quite nice.
It's a really nice family legacy, and it is difficult. It's all about resource management. It's managing your cards that you have in your hand and working out the best way to use your cards to look after all these animals and bring more animals into your zoo. And it's a real engine that you have to build to kind of do it all.
I remember the first game we played, and we were like, oh right, well we're just gonna play along with Alana, because this is gonna be so easy for us, and we're just gonna help her to do it. And then we lost the first game. We were like, this is not easy.
It's a proper efficiency engine. You really need to make sure you're doing as much as you can in a minimum amount of moves.
And the characters change, don't they? They get little stickers.
They get little abilities and things as you go through the game. Yeah, perfect family.
That was a good
one there.
And then we got what I thought was going to be just as exciting as Pandemic. I think these games come with like a weight of expectation.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
you hope that they're going to be just as good as the last Legacy game you played.
Indeed.
So we were like super excited when we got Legacy of Isla Nubla.
Yes, we were. We were very excited. Dinosaurs, Jurassic Park.
Comics. You open the box, and it is like going back to your childhood with these comics and the story in the comic, and it is beautiful. And then there's these little dinosaurs, plastic dinosaurs.
Yep.
And it looks amazing.
The first player token is the raptor claw.
Oh my god!
And the dice is the thing with the moth in it on his stick. Oh.
And the expectation is high, and you're like, yeah, this is going to be great. And then the gameplay is, well, it was so bad that we've sold it now, and we only played the first.
We played the tutorial. We played the first level, and
we got to a point where I think we were asked to change something, and we had to make a decision whether we were going to sell it at the point of not having done anything, or we were going to keep going. And we did a bit of research about what people had said about it, and we decided it was not worth us spending hours and hours of our time. So we had a little peek at the dinosaurs in the box. And it's such a shame because it's
beautiful.
Even when I think about it now, I'm like, I wish it was here just to look at the comics. But it's they came in dossier files with like warning over.
Really cool. God. It had like a really cool clip like system, like a keyring that you added the new rules to. So you just kept them all in one place. So you had a quick file for the new rules. It was just bad. It just plays awfully. It was doing the same monotonous tasks over and over again. But even there were no extra boards. There was nothing that could have had extra boards in. So 1 minute you're going into the lab to do something and you have to do this mini game. And the next minute you're going into the library or the kitchen to do this mini game. But the mini game was the same mini game. It was just this is now you're pretending this room is a different. It was just.
It could have been so good, and it wasn't.
And you got to choose your characters, but your characters didn't even have asymmetrical abilities.
They did. I'm pretty sure they were going to get some, but it just wasn't.
Yeah, I just it didn't leave an impression. It was really, I just could not get into it, and it just didn't make me happy at all, unfortunately.
But it was all okay, because then a legacy game came along that redeemed all the bad legacy games and will forever be etched in my mind as like one of the top legacy games. And I think it even, for me, I think it even beats the pandemic experience that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And that is?
It's The Legacy of You
no.
from Garfield.
No.
Yeah, so Ticket to Ride Legacy, Legends of the West it's very good.
It is beautiful. The box, so I mean, most people have seen the box art, but like you just put the box on the table and I want to spend ages looking at that artwork. It is beautiful.
Yeah, for in all intents and purposes, it is Ticket to Ride. But when you start the campaign, it's Ticket to Ride. But it certainly changes. It's not your grandmother's Ticket to Ride. There's enough difference.
But before you get to the game, even the box. I know I've talked about the outside of the box, but the inside of the box, the insert is just so well set up.
Yeah. There's
a box within the box that's for all the cards, which has like dividers, which are beautifully, the artwork is beautiful on those, so you can absolutely put it away and know where everything is going to be. There is a space for everything that is then revealed later on. Everything has been thought about. There's even the box on the top where you're not allowed to look at the playables that you're going to add to the board. Like just the thought that had gone into that box.
Yeah, absolutely. The design choices that they've made to make it easy to set up every single time. Easy to evolve the story, to draw out the cards, to change things. Just the ease of setup. That insert is just perfect. The way it's all been like meticulously designed. It's really good. It's a very strong quality. Everything about it works really well.
So can we spoil it now?
No.
Please.
But yeah,
we can't talk about it without spoiling.
But I mean, you talk about the basics of it. It's basically with Ticket to Ride. You are there's a big bad Mama O'Connell.
Yeah.
And she's out doing her nefarious things. That's my
a big word.
Nefarious. It's a good word. This is my one. I would say maybe
you're not allowed to say anything bad about it.
Okay. I don't think the theme is as strong as like a pandemic and stuff.
It doesn't matter.
The storyline, the storyline is fine as you're exploring further out into the west and up and east and all over the place.
But what I like about the story is that it has to be loose because you choose which bits of the board you put out.
Yeah.
So if it was too tight, the story wouldn't fit with
correct
what was going on.
Yeah, so
that's quite nice because you do have that level of player agency where you can choose what comes out next.
So there are a few, when you see reviews on the game, I think there are a few negative reviews, but I think some of these reviews are based on the order of which the boxes were opened.
Maybe.
Because some people are like, well, this is only in the game for 30 seconds. Well, it's only in the game for 30 seconds if you open that at the end.
Yeah.
So there's enough stuff happening. There's enough stuff going on that you should be able to enjoy everything. And yeah, there is limitations to it and stuff comes and goes. But
talking about those like legacy games where the same thing happens, there was not one episode where it was exactly the same. Every single episode, right up until the very last one, was different.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's true.
And that is, in my book,
it's very good. I think the other thing is as well, and it's no, this is no big spoiler, but yes, and because people do ask that question before they go in, because legacy games are very expensive, and one of the things is, which seems to be the thing now, because after Pandemic Legacy came out, and when we bought Pandemic Legacy, we paid like £100 for it, and we ended up putting that in the bin after we played it, because you can't play it again afterwards. But more legacy games now are making legacy games that will continue to be playable after you've played the storyline and the campaign, which is good.
Spoiler.
Which is a spoiler. There is a permanently playable version of, you end the game with a permanently playable version of Ticket to Ride,
which is great for us because we didn't own any copies of Ticket to Ride. We used to have Ticket to Ride London, which was like a small travel version
for 2 players. It says it's for 4,
and it was
it's
rubbish.
for 2 players. Yeah,
not rubbish, but it just, when we've got lots of other games, it just didn't hold my attention. I do like playing Ticket to Ride.
Yeah,
but now we have a massive version.
Yeah, this is the thing. This game is huge.
It takes
massive,
up the
great
whole
thing.
table.
It's a massive board, and the box itself is particularly huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is with particularly huge boxes and board games, and all board games now are coming in bigger boxes, bigger boxes and bigger boxes. Every game can't come in a small box. Every Kickstarter comes with 7,000 expansions and becomes a bigger box. And now, because the boxes are bigger, like Ticket to Ride Legacy, for example, and the more games that I'm going to continually buy and bring into the house, this is a house, not a shop, the more I bring in here, the more I'm starting to think that we might need to buy a bigger calyx. That's the only thing I can think of. So we're going to have to treat ourselves to a bigger calyx to fit all these games in, because we're going to have to keep buying the games and getting them in the house, and therefore we can't do anything. We'll just have to fill up the more. We need more calyxes.
You can't just keep adding calyxes.
Well, we have to, because that's the only way you can possibly get games in the house.
It's not the only way. It's not the only way.
Surely the only way you can play more games is by having more games in the house. And to have more games in the house, you have to own. You have to buy more games and own them. And therefore,
Will you
have.
Let me get right in it.
No.
I've got an idea.
What's your idea?
Well, we're sponsored by Rent, Shuffle and Roll.
Sorry?
Rent, Shuffle and Roll. I've been banging on about it for the last 3 episodes.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I anyway, blank out of that part.
Rent, Shuffle and Roll let you rent any of their 1,000 games on a monthly basis so you can try before you buy or get access to a rolling selection of new games every month. So you don't need a new Calyx, you just rent the game.
Because they've got their one. Calyx.
Okay. If you're feeling mysterious, you could take a look at their new Mystery Vault selection and see what you can solve. Use code GITG50 to support the show and get 50% off your first month.
Sorry, what? If they use the code GITG50, they're going to get 50% off the first month of Rent, Shuffle and Roll's monthly rental service.
Yeah, and if we use it, we don't need to buy a new Calyx because we can just rent the games.
So Rent, Shuffle and Roll. So rentshuffleandroll.com. So www.rentshuffleandroll.com. Go on there, click on their monthly subscription. Go into the when you sign up and the codes, and you put GITG50. That's GITG50. That's like Get Into Games 50. GITG50. Yeah. You'd get 50% off their monthly.
And you wouldn't need to buy a Calyx.
And I wouldn't need to buy a Calyx.
So anybody out there saves themselves from buying a Calyx and just buys a monthly rental.
This seems like a really good idea. We should be sponsored by these people.
We are.
What?
We are.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So head over to Rent, Shuffle and Roll today. Type in the code GITG50 to get 50% off your first month. What are you waiting for? You're waiting for the rest of this podcast, which is continuing right now.
So can we spoiler now?
Can we spoil it now? Okay, right. Okay, everyone. Everybody. Check your time stamps. This is the time that we will be talking a bit about Ticket to Ride Legacy. We're going to go into spoilers. We're going to try and not ruin everything, but we do have to talk about some little bits because it's too exciting not to talk about. So we are going to talk about some spoilers for Ticket to Ride Legacy, and I might talk about some spoilers from other Legacy games, but mainly it's going to be about Ticket to Ride Legacy. So this is your last chance. If you want to skip ahead to the menus just after this section, then
the timestamp will be below.
The timestamp might be below if I can work out how to do that in the edit.
You're not supposed to break the fourth wall.
Okay. How many walls?
So
Ticket to Ride Legacy.
The first thing that I think I actually cried. I know I actually cried. And it's so stupid when I think back, but it was like, oh, wow. So the first box that you open is the hole punch.
Yeah, a little ticket
to punch the cards as you're doing the tickets. And it's like you can actually be the ticket conductor on a train.
Yeah.
And I literally burst into tears. I was like, oh my gosh. This is amazing. And then spent the rest of the game just wanting to punch all the cards.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not allowed, but
yeah. There's a really cool mechanic where you're when you do a route, you punch a hole into the ticket
of your color.
Of your color. Once 2 routes have been taken on that route, once two holes have been punched into that route is then retired from the game and goes away.
Or one.
If it's a 1 route, you'll get a special postcard, and those special postcards give you little asymmetrical boosts and perks throughout the game that give you little benefits. It's a really nice touch just to be able to I've just done this route, and at the very end of the game, stamp.
Although Alana then wanted to stamp for it.
Yeah,
so stayed up one night just to punch all the cards. I was like, you're spoiling Mummy's fun.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's always the issue.
So another thing that I really liked, and it didn't last for me long enough, but I get that, that's fine, was the idea of this circus train. So one of the things that you open is some circus train stickers on a roll.
Yeah.
And they're all different coloured carriages.
Yep.
And you have a booklet and you have to try and complete the characters.
Yeah, I think that was one of my favourite modules, and it just didn't last. So we played the whole campaign at 2-player, and I'd argue maybe that this campaign, and I'm really tempted to do it again because I don't think. Because I feel like we could play it again because, as I said before, I don't think the storyline is that will affect the fact that I will go, oh yeah, this happens, this will happen, because that doesn't really change massive things.
The only thing you would know is what modules are going to come up.
Yeah,
but you'd still have to strategize about how to do it.
Yeah. So in a 2-player game, the book of stickers doesn't last as long.
Yeah.
But it lasts long enough for us both to have differing scores. I think if it lasted the whole game, we would have both filled out our books and we would have scored exactly the same points. So it was good that it didn't last that long. But it was a lot of fun to be able to, I've just done this route, so I get to take 1 sticker. I've done this route, so I get to take 2 stickers. It was good.
Another module that was quite cool was the ghost train.
Yeah, so there's a haunted wasteland, which puts a white, like a clear, see-through white Ticket to Ride train, and you have a dice.
When you lay down white tracks, you roll the special dice, and then the ghost train moves. And if it moves next to a track that you have, then you get a curse card, which is really cool.
The curse cards are really interesting because some of them will they're really hamper you. So there's a thing in this game that Ticket to Ride doesn't have. It might have. I don't know if any of the other expansions have it. But there's something called piggybacking. So you can choose. You've got like a one-off chance to kind of piggyback off someone else's route. So you still have to pay the colours and put your trains down, but you can piggyback someone's single route if someone's done the normal Ticket to Ride blocking situation. And I had a curse that stopped me piggybacking. I also had a curse that stopped me doing something else as well. But yeah,
got lots of curses.
I got lots of curses, and I had the card that stopped me getting curses. So there are cards that nerf certain abilities, which there are some reviews out there that have said about cards. You have something that's fundamental in your story, and then someone gets the card that stops the story actually having an impact. But I don't think that really affects the whole game as such.
But I never felt like it gave you so much of an advantage that there was no point me playing.
No.
Like, I never got that. Yeah. Another bit that I think I did more than you was the treasure hunting aspect. There was so you had to collect treasure maps, and there were only 6 or 7 of them. And then you had to search the deck, and if you got skulls or something, then you had to get 10 cards without skulls, and the maps would sort of stop this. So if you got a skull, it would negate it.
Yeah, it was like a push your luck kind of mechanism, wasn't it? So there was a lot of detail on that as well. That was good.
And then if you did it, you could scratch off and see how much money you would receive. So that was really cool.
Yeah, because all the points in this game are all down to money. It's not down to like points per route and stuff like that. I really like the earthquakes. There was a module of earthquakes which knocked the bridges, and they knocked your trains over. That was cool.
And then every
stocks and shares was good as well.
Oh yeah, but the stocks and shares is part of the now.
Yeah, so
that. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
So there's so much to say. The events were quite cool.
Yeah.
So there were events that were linked to each of the areas, and then if you lost, you got to take one of them out so that it was put in the dead letter office, I think. It might be in if you want. I can't remember. But they were quite cool to keep the game changing and different. Yeah. And then you also got an ever-changing deck of employees.
Yeah, that was good.
So you could then become an employee for the next game, and it would give you a special asymmetric power. Yeah, so
I always chose the conductor, and he always gave me an extra card. So instead of 6 cards, I had 7 cards. So I had, or I said 8 cards even. It was extra 2 cards. So
there was one character who, if you put a route down, face down underneath, if you managed to do that route but you weren't allowed to look at it the whole game, it was double points, but if you didn't do it, you lost double points. That was quite cool. Yeah, it was really cool. And then
so there's the other bit was the stocks and shares. So there's one that's like if you claim routes into certain colours, there's these stocks, there's these shares, and when you claim like a yellow route, if the yellow card was facing up, you claim the card, and at the end of the game, the number of yellow cards, white cards, red cards, black cards, green cards, blue cards that you had would score you a number of points, kind of thing.
What I really liked in the game, though, was we didn't keep a track of where we were at compared to each other, because your bank slips, which is essentially the money you've accumulated that round, go into your vault, which is like locked, so you can't look at it till the end, and your shares go in there as well, and anything that you gain goes in there. So it didn't ever have that thing of, I know like Craig is 50 points ahead of me, because like it was hidden.
Because that can happen in My City. You can see that someone's well ahead of you and you're on the last couple of games, and you know that nothing's going to happen. Whereas with this, everything's hidden. You can't remember what you've scored. You can have a rough idea, but you have no idea what the other person scored or anything like that. And you get a massive version of Ticket to Ride to play at the end of the game.
That was another point where I nearly cried. Because at the end, spoiler, the last card reveals to you that all along, underneath the bottom of the box, is the rule book, so you can play it forever. Yeah,
so you just lift the whole insert out, and there's a...
And I love that. I think we had that once with an exit calendar.
Oh, the advent
where
calendar.
The certificate for completing the thing was in the back of the box.
Yeah, the Sasquatch one.
And that just feels very satisfying. Like it was there all along. Had we taken the box out, we would have known that. But it's then revealed to you at the end, which is really cool. But yeah, just the whole experience, I will remember for a long time.
Yeah, it's more than, I can say it until I'm blue in the face. It's more than just Ticket to Ride. At its core, it is Ticket to Ride. Of course, it is. You can take two cards. Or one locomotive, or you can take 3 station route cards and decide how many you want to keep, kind of situation.
But we also know we know a few people who are playing it.
Yeah.
And they're bored because you sticker up as you're going through it, and then that becomes your board. Our board is going to be different to PJ's board or Gareth's board.
Yeah.
It's going to, so if they come around here and play, they're going to play a different version of it than if we play their version of it.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's pretty much Ticket to Ride in mostly spoilers. I think I don't think there's much more to
go buy it.
Yeah, do it. It's good fun. I would definitely recommend it. I would even recommend it after I've because I don't think even spoilers really spoil it for you. I wouldn't spoil the game. The game is still enjoyable, even though it's been said what happens. But yeah, do you have anything to say about any other Legacy game? Any minor spoilers while we're at it here?
Not really. I mean, they're like the undead things in Pandemic.
The faded, the little zombie people. Yeah, they're awesome.
But yeah, I've never been as excited as I was to talk to people who have also played it. Like, I think when I found out that PJ had finished it, I was like, I need you to talk to me about it, because I didn't want to spoil it for people who haven't played it.
Yeah.
But also it feels like something that you should talk about, because it was really cool.
Yeah, and it's also a difficult one, especially when you're doing content or podcasts and things like that, and you've got something that is there to be talked about. Not talking about is more difficult.
Definitely. Should we check out some board game menus?
Yes, so this is the end of spoilers. No more spoilers. We won't talk about any of those amazing things. I can't believe that I can't believe there's rabbits in that game, and then the rabbits take all the trains to the forest of Everdell, and then Ticket to Ride turns into Everdell. That's so weird. Who would have thought that Ticket to Ride turns into New Leaf. Whoops, did I just say spoilers had ended? Board game menus. So you all sent some awesome board game menus, and we've got some right now that we'll be having a little chit chat about.
So n.miller.39 said that their starter was Crokinole.
Nice.
Which I've not heard before, so that's quite nice.
Yeah.
No, I've heard of it.
Yeah, I need to play it.
I mean, nobody else suggested it as a starter. Followed by Everdell and then Jackbox, which I've not heard
Looks like
of.
some kind of party game, yeah.
Board Games After Dark went with Next Station London as a good starter. I do like Next Station London.
Yeah.
I need to get into Next Station Tokyo. Really.
Yeah.
And Everdell again, and then Cascadia as a dessert.
That's a nice finish.
Board Game Waffle went with Outrun the Bear.
Nice.
And then the main course, Twilight Imperium. That seems quite heavy.
Yeah. That's a big course.
Followed by Scrawl.
Okay, cool. That's cool.
The Cajun Gamer said World Wonders, which is a new one, but it does look
really
so pretty.
Good. Yeah.
Followed by Obsession.
Obviously, Obsession.
And then Matrushka or Gift of Tulips.
Matrushka looked really good, didn't it? We saw that the other day.
And then my _shelf life said Abandon All Artichokes, Adventure Time Love Letter, or they're the starters, and then Acropolis for the main, and then Sushi Go or My Gold Mine for the dessert. We do have a little problem with the board game menu sometimes, because it's like the Midland Meeple went with Sky Team, which I know you're really excited about, and then we could not work out what the main was. So if you could write what the name of the game is, sometimes we don't know the game. And then we can't read
think it was either Great Western Trail or it was Wayfarers of the South Tigris, but I couldn't quite work out from the photos. I don't think it was
Wayfarers.
I think it was,
we've got Wayfarers.
I think it was Great Western Trail. I don't know.
So he said Sky Team and then an anonymous.
Something yummy.
Anonymous.
Nom 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 nom.
But it did look quite heavy. And then That's Not a Hat, which I absolutely hate.
I love that game.
No, it's fun, but I can't play it. I'm rubbish at it. I was like, I don't know. That's not a hat. That's also, I don't know. And I'm not very good in new situations. So that one has me panicked at the table because I'm just not sure what to say.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Well, that is all of the time that we have today. But thank you so much for listening. And please, if you could leave a 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice, or of course a little review, that would be nice as well. We love hearing from you. We love hearing episode ideas, things you want us to talk about. Make sure you're following us both on the Instagrams. That's Get Into Games and Mrs._Get Into Games. And continue the chat online. Talk to us about legacy games. What are your favourite? Is there ones that we're missing? Because there's plenty that are available in campaign games that we really want to try and we haven't been able to get a hold of just yet. So again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to the last 2 episodes. And as always, remember to get into games.